How are you?
I'm good. Getting back to it after our vacation.
Hardest day back is your day after vacation. Today, we are doing a mailbag. So we've done the home show. We've done 3 home shows in the last year. The fall home show, the spring home show, and the Kentville home show. And we asked people to give us questions. And you and I have taken the questions and divided them up equally. And we put them in these jars. Take them out at random, one apiece, and answer real estate questions as best we can. You're the newest agent, so you can go first.
Thanks. Okay. Looking for my first home, but don't have a big budget. What should I look for in my first property? Am I answering or are you?
Well, you are.
Okay.
It's your question.
Not a big budget. I would look for good bones, cosmetic upgrades. So also I would suggest we look at doing like a purchase plus improvement style mortgage, but that does depend on the person's budget and what their comfort level is with renovations. But I would say, look for something that maybe is not cosmetically the prettiest, but has really good bones and they can increase the equity in the house by fixing it up themselves. Nothing too complicated that needs to be done, but like paint and new floor or new bathrooms, kitchens, things they can do over time, but the property is still in good condition as it is now, just might not be the prettiest, would be my advice there.
What is a purchase plus improvements mortgage?
So that would be, for example, I've done it with quite a few first-time home buyers. It is basically, we did it. Basically, you purchase the property under what your pre-approval is for, and then you get quotes for the work that needs to be completed by contractors. Those are submitted to the bank, and the bank agrees to finance that and roll the cost of it into your mortgage. So say you buy a house for $200,000, the roof needs to be done, and it's going to be $20,000. You're pre-approved for $230,000. We'd get a quote, we'd get the accepted offer for $200,000, and we get a quote for the $20,000. Submit that to the bank. They say, yeah, we'll give you the money for that. And at the end of the day, when that work is completed, your mortgage will be $220,000 instead of $200,000. And that way you have one payment instead of trying to come up with a lump sum of $20,000 off the top of your head.
You said you've done this with a few clients. How has it gone with a few clients?
Awesome. Really great. It's definitely like, I've done it through my broker, who I would recommend doing it through. With banks, for example, I tried to do them with BMO, and at the very last minute, I had to flip it to my broker, who thankfully was able to pull a rabbit out of his hat and get it done in no time. Because BMO has restrictions. So banks are typically like a stricter kind of outline of what they'll accept in financing. And so BMO had 10% of the purchase price was their maximum that they would do for a purchase plus improvements, which is like nothing if you have a $200,000 budget.
$20,000.
Yeah. So we were doing windows and a roof was what we were trying to do the purchase plus improvements for. And it was about $50,000 worth of work because there was a lot of windows. And so BMO couldn't make it happen, but my broker could because he had more access to lenders who are more comfortable with that kind of thing.
Last thing before we go on to the next one, what would good bones be in a house? You said someone's got to look for good bones if they have no budget.
It's got to be structurally good. It's got to be a good layout. It honestly, so for example, that property that I just spoke about, it looked like you walked in and it was like stepping back into 1960. Genuinely, I don't think the person that lived there changed a single thing. However, super sturdy floors, like you're structurally very sound. Plumbing was great, upgraded electrical, like all of the things that you need to make a house worked. it was just not pretty. So like my buyers could really do whatever they wanted with it, and they did. That first weekend they moved in, they put new flooring in, and they painted before they got their furniture in. That looks like a different house.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. My last thing for someone who doesn't have a small budget, doesn't have a big budget, would be to look outside of Halifax.
Yeah.
Get out
100%.
of the major markets. Get out of the
Yeah.
Bridgewaters, the Kentvilles, the Wolfvilles, the Truros, the Halifax HRM, and just focus on the smaller boroughs outside, and you'll probably be able to find something that you can work with.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
Because if you're looking in Halifax, you're pretty much going to be restricted to mini mobile homes. I honestly don't even think you can get a condo anymore for
No.
a low budget. So,
No.
or you're buying something that you can't actually live in, and banks probably won't finance it. So,
True. Okay. Me. What we got? What would you recommend me look for in our first investment property?
oh, you love this one.
Okay. If I'm looking for, what would we recommend for a first investment property? Cash flow and potential equity would be my two. So it would be basically, we'd be looking for, how do we make sure that this thing pays you money in a monthly stipend, whether that, $500 net, $700 net, that you could go the 1% rule, which is coming back in play in real estate now that prices are calming down, but that's still pretty hard to find in Halifax and in Nova Scotia. The
What's
1%,
the 1% rule?
the 1% rule is you want, if you're doing a purchase price of, let's say, $500,000, you want your monthly rent to equal 1% of your gross rent. So $5,000 a month, or $50,000 for the year, or $60,000 for the year, because 5 times 12. So that's a metric that was used for a really long time before the COVID boom. But now we'd be looking at just, does this property cash flow, and are we happy with the cash flow numbers? And also, how can we force equity into this property for a good BRRRR? Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. So essentially, I want to make sure, like our clients just did that in March. We talked about it a few times. They bought, it's paying them $1,200 a month, about to be $2,500 a month. And they're doing renovations to it that will force about $75,000 in appreciation that they can then go to a bank and or a lender or a mortgage broker to access that to buy their next property. And it'll still cash flow $1,000 in their pocket every month. That'll be, $1,200 a month right now. That is about $14,000 a year. And you can call it passive, but it's landlording, so it's not always the most passive job, but it's still not a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So those would be the two things. The other thing for a first investment property would be, as long as it makes you money and you can make money off it. Location's kind of the third thing. I would prefer good locations that would appreciate quicker than other slower markets. Like, for instance, I'd rather buy in Windsor than Brooklyn. Right? You know what I mean? So the other thing would be the area, but if the property in Brooklyn cash flows $2,000 a month, I don't care.
Yeah. I think it's also important to make sure that you're clear on what type of strategy you're using, because you just talked about 2-3 different types of strategies that are all very different.
Yeah. Of the last advice, I guess, would be, rather than you trying to shoehorn your investment strategy into the property, whether it's BRRRR, long-term rental, a short-term rental, a flip. I've always said this, and I said this to you 1,000 times, because we're looking at buying our next house next year. And you've asked, what kind of house do we want? And for our next investment, I've always said, well, the house will determine the investment strategy we use. If it's a really good flip, we'll flip it. If it's a really good BRRRR, we'll BRRRR it. If it's a good buy and hold, we'll buy and hold. The house depends on the strategy. You're up.
Does staging really make a difference when selling your home? Yes. And staging also does not have to be bringing in all this furniture and paying thousands of dollars to have it in the home. We do a staging consult every time we list a property. And I just sold one. It was under contract in 3 days. And when we first saw that property, you were like, this might be difficult. It was a small home. It was navy blue and it was very full of stuff.
And it was in a
And
state.
they did so much work. They did so good. And they painted the entire property Lori's favorite color, white dove, and they really put in the work. They changed the way they had their furniture laid out to really like create more space in a small area, and it really made a difference. And then I brought in kind of some small staging stuff, like some neutral paintings and like white hand towels and some plants. But I didn't do big staging. They didn't do big staging. We used what they had and used Lori's expertise to adjust the way that everything was looking, and it made it much more inviting to buyers and more welcoming.
Staging works. Always has, always will. The benefit of staging is to show a buyer how they can set up their way to live. It gives them a blueprint and a layout that they can walk into and help see themselves in your property. That's why staging works. The other thing I would say is full staging. If you are selling a vacant home, we always recommend getting it fully staged because I think statistically it's 1 out of 10 people can actually see a space and can see furniture in a space. And 1 out of 10 buyers, if we have 10 buyers in a house, we want them all to write offers. I mean, they realistically in this market, they probably won't, but I mean, I don't want to wait 10 buyers before someone writes me an offer. So even fully staging, that's a lot more money and it's a lot more moving parts, but even fully staging has a really significant impact and can actually make you money and sell your house quicker. Okay, I'm up. Is it true that Halifax is now in a buyer's market? No, absolutely not. No. It is shifting. It is moving. It is slower. Statistically right now, we are still in a seller's market, but I won't be surprised if Halifax is in a balanced market by September 1st. So we're recording on August 24th. This will come out on August 30th. So by the next 2 days later, I wouldn't be surprised if we're in a balanced market. In real estate, you have 3 markets: seller's market, balanced market, buyer's market. They're defined by months of inventory. 0 to 4 months of inventory is sellers. Balanced is 4 to 6 months, and buyers is 6+ months of inventory. 4 months of inventory is healthy. You still selling homes. If you are selling your home, you have good price, good condition, good location, your home will sell. Not worried about that still in today's market. If you don't have those 3 things, it may take you a little longer and you may have to adjust price. When selling in a balanced market, it requires a little more work. That's what I would say. You're not just slapping up a sign, getting 10 offers and selling in a day for $10,000 over asking. It may take average days on market in Halifax now is, I think it's 30-ish. Kings County, the county that we live in, is 40 something or low 50s now.
It's like 43 or something last time I checked for Kings County.
Yeah. So like average days on market's a lot higher. So just if your goal is to still sell and have a smooth transaction, it's just about doing the work and make sure the house is ready to sell and that you price it well. You're up.
We got lots of questions.
We're popular.
Oh, I can't afford a home in Halifax. Is it a good idea to buy land instead? No, because if you can afford to buy a home in Halifax, for starters, I can pretty much guarantee you don't have 50% down, which is what you would need to purchase land. And then you also have to build on said land, and building is also not cheap. There are construction mortgages that make it more accessible for sure. But I would say like can't afford to buy in Halifax. That leaves a lot of interpretation. Like you could work with a builder and they will buy the lot for you and roll it into your purchase price. However, you're probably going to be building, like you would need at least a $500,000 budget, I would say, for that.
Yeah, if you can't afford to buy in Halifax, you're not going to a builder and being like, work with me.
No.
The cheapest one we know is in Boulder's Ridge.
No, you can do a modular build. You can absolutely do a modular build.
Yeah, but Boulder's Ridge is $4,999 for a brand new build. I feel like a modular home, the ones you've always priced me out at are $400,000. That's not including land, septic, well.
That's because, okay, the one I want is $560,000, but it's also 1,800 square feet with a full unfinished basement, an additional bathroom. And you're right, that doesn't include septic and well or land.
No.
But like, you could buy like some of the mini mobile homes that are a traditional style of mini mobile home. Because like the one I'm talking about doesn't look like a modular build. A mini modular home, you can get them for, I think they start at $180 through Patterson's. That's the pricing that I know of, which is in Truro. And they'll buy that land for you. So like 180 plus, let's go up a little bit in price, 70 grand for your septic and well, and your land would be another 50.
Yeah, so you're still spending 300 some odd thousand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, 300,000 or let's say 350 isn't.
I would say 350 because like they're doing brand new builds that we know of from mini mobile homes in Rawdon with Sid, who work out of Kent. They're manufactured by Kent.
Yeah.
So
the different manufacturers have different pricing, of course. But like that's something that they will do. They'll buy the land for you. They'll handle the septic and the foundation and all of it, and it gets rolled into one. But you're working with credit unions for them typically.
And as long as you have the money.
Yes.
Right? So like that's the next thing is you have to have the money. So if you can't afford in Halifax, I mean, my advice would just be look outside of Halifax. It does get significantly cheaper when you get outside of HRM.
Yep, absolutely.
And like it depends on your work and your commute and what you are willing and not willing to do. But if you can't afford Halifax, either save up enough money to buy in Halifax and buy the cheapest thing you can, mini mobile homes and or a small condo.
Mm-hmm.
If you want accessibility to downtown, condos. And if you want something that you do not basically have an apartment for, mini mobile homes. Cheapest single family you're seeing semi-detached, mid to high threes right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Depends on the area, but yeah.
That would be my advice. Okay. What's the point in dropping my home's price? I can always come down in price in negotiations.
Well, you're never going to get negotiations if you never have an accessible price point. Actually, I have a great story. Sorry, this was yours. This is your question.
No, go ahead. You have a great story.
I literally had a house that we went and viewed 3 times with some clients who just closed on a different property, and they loved the property. These people had that house listed at $700,000 for the last 3 years. And it genuinely came down to between 2 houses, and we looked at the history of the property, and based on like our conversations, we decided that they likely weren't going to play ball to what we actually thought the property was worth. And we went with the other property as a result.
And they called you though, didn't they?
They did call me. Yeah, the agent called me and was like, so what happened? And I was like, they've been at this price. Like, we think it's worth significantly less than what you've got it listed at. And you can say all you want that it's worth that, but nobody's paid it in 3 years. And so the price we would be looking at would be significantly lower. You've stuck at $700,000 for 3 years. That is pretty much like that is just the example of digging your heels in and being like, we're going to give it a go and we're not super motivated. Like that doesn't send the message that you want to sell your house.
Right.
That sends the message that like, we're just going to stick it up and see what happens.
What I would say is simple. If you aren't getting any offers, they've already determined that you're too high to even begin negotiating on. If you have no activity, no viewings, no offers, the market's already told you you are too high. So you have to come down and you're going to negotiate the price again, especially if you're over 60 days on market. So you're going to bring it down to get it to a level that buyers will want to view it and write an offer, but then just be prepared to take another $10,000 to $15,000 off, which is why we always say the hardest thing to do in our job is pricing a home, but it's also the best thing you can do to sell your home is make sure it's got the right price, or else you run into these problems, and the more days on market, the more your price will come down and down and down. You're up.
Sorry, I talked on that one. That was mainly yours.
That's okay.
My home's been on the market for 200 days. I'm starting to get lowball offers. What should I do?
Oh, I mean, it's kind of an extension of the last question.
Yeah.
What should you do? Depends, right? So the question would be, 200 days on market, clearly something's wrong with the house. Is it the price? Is it the condition? Is it the location? You can't change location. It is what it is. So go back and check your comparables and make sure that you still have a price that is selling in and around your neighborhood. Be the first thing. If that's the case and you're priced well for your comparables, okay, condition. A lot of sellers have been in the mindset of we slap up a listing and sell it in a day. In the last few years, you've gotten away with that. A lot of sellers have been in the mindset of, oh, we're not doing that, meaning they're not doing any work on their house. Buying it, selling it as is, where is, and buyers are now, because they have options, they're not dealing with that bullshit anymore. If you're not willing to play ball on a bad roof, on a bad window, on your negligence on your property, because the condition isn't right, they're not coming with an offer. So the next thing would be condition. Have you cleaned it? Have you staged it? Have you painted it? Have you done the things to make sure it's in its best condition possible? Have you done a pre-inspection? Do you know what condition your home is in? Or are realtors and buyer's agents scaring buyers into writing an offer on your house because they see red flags in the house that will have to be dealt with by somebody, right? The last thing is always price. When you go to market, if you haven't done everything, check your comparables, go back to the house condition itself and see if you can correct those things. You're still going to check price. You're still going to change price because the price has been 200 days on market. Something has to change. You need activity. You need engagement. And it might be taking it off the market. Let's say no work has been done. It might be taking it off the market for a few months, giving it a fresh makeover, taking care of some problems, or discovering problems and disclosing them, and coming back in a few months' time with a brand new price in a better condition with better photos. It might be you've done all the work and you're still in the market. You're overpriced. At this point, if you've been 200 days on market, let's say you haven't had a viewing in a month, that is a $30,000 price adjustment. I'd go big, because if you do 10, you're not going to get much.
Well, yeah, it's drop it.
Because if they're not even viewing your house and and for the last 30 days and you're 200 days on market, like that is because if a buyer feels they can negotiate $10,000 to $20,000 off your price, they're going to view your property. So the question is you need to do a big drop to get it to where it needs to be to get engagement from buyers. And then they're probably going to negotiate again because we are a balanced market. You're up.
That was my question.
That was you. Right. So I'm up. You can answer this. Will updating my roof and windows increase my home's value?
No, but it will decrease. There are things in a house that you just expect to work, and having new ones is a benefit. Like, it is an attraction for sure for buyers. Like, when I walk through a property and I see, hey, it's got a new metal roof and the windows are done, but the kitchen's pretty ugly, I'm like, okay, well, that's about $50,000 worth of work that they've done that my buyer is not going to have to do. So that is attractive for sure. If the kitchen's ugly and the windows need to be done and the roof needs to be done, I will absolutely be negotiating based on that. So
the other thing I would say is if the roof and windows are done, they do not add value. That's the first thing. You spend $20,000 on a roof, you're not getting $20,000 in increased value based on every other comparable in your neighborhood, because buyers expect those things to be maintained. That's just, and also, like, have you ever heard in your life someone go, oh my God, I bought this house because they put on a brand new metal roof. I paid them $25,000 over asking because of the metal roof. No, people buy kitchens, bathrooms, floor plans, layouts, finishes, highlights, features. What I would say though is, if we do see new roof, new windows, and like new furnace, for instance, like it's, oh, okay, they've looked after the property.
Yes. There's some pride of ownership here. Like they've tried to maintain the property. It's a good sign. It, like I said, it would detract from your value, but it's not going to add to your value. It's just going to maintain your value.
But it would bring buyers in because they would think, okay, well, they've looked after the property.
Yeah.
There's pride of ownership here. They've taken care of some issues. They clearly took care of this home that we're going to potentially take off their hands. And that just tells us like, oh, okay, maybe they've also taken care of like, if they've taken care of roof, windows, and furnace, they've probably taken care of small plumbing issues.
Yeah.
They've probably taken care of small electrical issues that have come up over the years. They've probably dealt with this thing in a good manner by professionals, and that just gives us confidence to buy it. But it does not add value. Do not do new roof, new windows, and expect us to go, oh my God, you just added dollar for what you spent. No. They're supposed to be done. They're supposed to be maintained. You're up.
What do you focus on when buying a home? I would say we need to like hone in on what the goal of this house is. Is it your forever home? Is it a starter home? Is it we just need something for now? Like that's pretty broad. I guess like you make your list of what you want and go from there. If it's a starter home, I'm going to tell you we should try and make sure you're not going to be like out money. We want to make sure that you're going to gain equity. Forever home, I'm like, get what you want. Do whatever makes you happy. Put your list together and we can look for it forever if you want.
I would say it depends on the timeline, depends on the budget, it depends on the wants and needs. So
Yep.
like if you're like our job is we use this corny sentence all the time with clients. Our job is to deliver your real estate goals in the least stressful manner possible. How we do that is entirely what your goals are. Maybe it's first time home buyer who wants to build equity in a house and doesn't want to lose value. Okay, Grace, we're looking at shitholes. Great.
My favorite.
Not tear down shitholes that need to be knocked over, but shitholes that you walk into a 60s kitchen and you walk into a 60s bathroom. But the structure's good and maybe the roof and windows have been taken care of. Okay, great. Or maybe you're looking into if you're in Halifax, first time home buyer, probably looking at mini mobile homes. Unless you're a couple, then you're looking at, single family, semi-detached or fully detached in some other areas of the Cole Harbor area, maybe Brookside area, maybe the Timberley area, but you're looking at things that probably aren't cosmetically renovated. As you've said, if you're looking for the dream home, that entirely depends on the budget. But dream home that you're going to settle in and raise kids in, depending on the budget, it allows you to take a little more time and effort and be a little more decisive on this. First, it depends what the house is. It depends what your expectations are, but our job is to try and deliver your expectations as best as we can. We do the number game, and we recommend the number game to everyone. You walk into a house and you rate it scale 1 to 10, 10 being the dream house, 1 being an absolute diabolical teardown. Where does it rate on the scale? If we always say you can't afford 10, no one can. But if you give it an 8 or a 9, you should be running an offer. And if you give it a 5, well, what would make it an 8? Oh, well, I really want a big kitchen. I'm a big cook. Oh, okay, so we're only looking at houses with good kitchens. Or, hey, like, we're outdoors people. Okay, well, this is a city lot, 6,000 square feet. Maybe we should be looking at land in Lance, at an acre of land. Like, whatever you say is missing from this home, we're just going to hone in on that. And that's how we help you guys find what you're looking for. Kind of a same question, but also a little different. My home's been on the market for a month now, and I haven't received an offer. What's the problem?
Okay, I feel like we should answer this quickly because we just did like a whole.
I know. Go ahead.
Your price too high. That's what it is.
I will give it a little more in depth. 14-day cycle. This will be the answer to any time. If you don't have any engagement in your house, judge it by every 2 weeks. Have you had viewings? Yes or no? If you have not, your price way too high. If you have had viewings and offers, your price too high. That's it. judged by that 2-week cycle. And if other homes in your area are selling and you're not, congratulations, your price point, you're selling your neighbor's house. Simple. Go on.
I'd like to buy my first home but can't afford one. What should I do? Go and see a mortgage broker. My guy is Matt at Indie Mortgages. He's on this podcast regularly.
All the time.
God love him. He is great at helping you actually figure out what you can and can't afford. Because like realistically, more people can afford to buy a home than they realize. They just don't realize kind of what it actually takes. I would also suggest looking at the Nova Scotia Down Payment Assistance Program because that is a wicked program. It's a 10-year, 0% interest-free loan provided by the Nova Scotia government for Nova Scotia residents, and it covers your 5% down payment. So then you only need 2.5%. 2 to 2.5. I would do 2.5, so that way you've got a little bit of breathing room, but that's going to cover like your closing costs. But like the mortgage, if you're renting, say you're renting in Halifax, you can most likely afford a mortgage because it's usually less. The thing to think of though is like also you have to maintain a house. So you need to be aware of that. And there are costs that come with that don't
property taxes, utilities, things break,
maintenance, upgrades, things like that you'd want to do. But that would be my advice. Go and see a mortgage professional, find out what it actually costs, what you could actually get approved for, and then go from there.
I would say the same thing. Go see a mortgage broker. You can see Matt Legato and you can see Andrew Hutchinson. There are brokers at Indie Mortgage. Matt Shallow too. That's who we use. That's who we work with. They're regulars on this podcast, so you'll hear them a lot. What I would say, kind of exactly the same thing as you've said, but the reason why you go see a broker first is you just reverse engineer. So they're going to look at how much money you make and they're going to tell you what a bank would be willing to lend you based on how much money you make. From there, you'll say, let's say the number is $300,000. Okay, 5% down of $300,000 is $15,000 down payment. Closing costs, probably going to be $7 grand.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. So so you know in your head now, oh, okay, I need to get $22,000. Well, okay, first time Nova Scotia Down Payment Assistance Program covers the down payment, so I just need 5 to 7. Well, there is the First Time Home Savings Account, which acts as a TFSA and RSP, so that you can put money in that, and you can put $8,000 max contribution year over year, and that'll help you get that money a little quicker, and it reduces your taxable income.
Yes.
So that would be if you don't know what you can afford and you want to buy a house, first step, go see a broker, see what you can afford, and reverse engineer how much money you need. Simple.
Yep.
It's me next, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I've lost 2 houses because of my SOBP condition. How do I make sure I don't lose another house? SOBP is sale of buyer's property condition, meaning they are trying to write an offer on someone's house to purchase it, but they've included the condition that they have to sell their home to be able to finally close the deal. And they've lost 2 homes because of SOBP. You just did SOBP. Do you want to handle this?
I mean, you've got lots of experience in this too. What we did an SOBP, like the easy solution is sell your house and get an Airbnb, but that also puts a lot of stress. So like, I wouldn't recommend that. What we did was everything was ready to go. Like photos were done, pre-inspection was done. Everything was ready to go to make it as easy as possible to buy their property. And I told the agent that to try and just build some confidence up in the fact that we would be selling, we would sell quickly, we're priced competitively. And even then they were still pretty like, we don't really love that. But like that would be the biggest thing, would be like getting it to the point where your realtor just has to press upload on the MLS system to build some confidence. But unfortunately, like some people just don't want to deal with an SOBP. Watch the house. The house that we did this on, they rejected our first offer. We went back a month later because they were not willing to deal with an SOBP. So like you can always go back and see if they're desperate. And then they may actually be able to be willing to work with you. But some people just don't want to deal with an SOBP.
I always say there's two ways to deal with SOBPs. If you're the one who has to sell the house that with the SOBP condition and help them buy, there's two ways to do it. You can find the house first, which would be hard, or you can sell your house first and then go shopping. So if you sell the house first, kick the closing date out 4 to 6 months from when you plan to list it. Okay. That way you get the house sold. If you haven't found, now this is where you need to figure out what you want home. If you're looking for the dream home, don't put a timeline on your house. But if you're looking to make the next step up, most people can find their house that they're looking for the next step up of their first house in 4 to 6 months. If you can't find one in 4 to 6 months, you either don't have the budget, your expectations are too high, or you don't want to buy a house. So when you're selling your house, if you want to sell it first, at that point, when you get it sold, kick closing down the road. You then know what you sold it for, you know what your pre-approval is for, and you can just go buy a house because you've got cash. Bridge loans are much easier to get. If you're buying first and selling second, you basically have to do what you did, where you have to get the house basically ready to go so that your realtor can just click the on button on MLS and it's on the market the next day. In that regard, your agent has to advocate for you, as you did, to basically call this listing agent and go, hey, we're ready to rock. Photos done, videos done, everything's on MLS, all the marketing materials ready to go. We are priced competitively. This is our price. You can check comparables. Here's my market analysis report. Here's everything we've done to show you that we are ready to sell. Because for us, and I've been on the other side of this where I've been selling a house and I've gotten SOBP conditions. For us, when we get SOBP condition, the problem is we don't know when your house is going to sell. We're trying to sell our own house to move on with our lives. So the more confidence you give me to work with you, you better have your shit together. And you better have a plan as to how you're selling that house. Because I've had it in the past for me where I've had a SOBP where someone's gone, hey, we're going to list it at this and we're ready to go. On the list date, they're 2 days late because they didn't have their shit together. And then they listed for $50,000 more than they said they were going to list originally. Because our buyer wanted to try the number. That's not going to fly. And you're just going to frustrate everyone involved. So for us, if you're doing SOBPs and you need SOBP, if you're buying first, get the house as close to market as you possibly can, and then make sure you're selling it to the listing agent. If you're selling first, kick the closing down the road and take your time. That would be my advice. Also, if you're going to do that, sell in the spring. Because that's when you get the most inventory, you get the most options. List in February, sell your house end of February, early March, and you got until end of June when you're going to see the majority of new listings come to market. And you're going to be competitive because you're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's my go. Sorry.
It's your go.
I've just lost a home that received multiple offers. Any advice on how to win a home in competition?
Ooh, dealt with that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, we can both answer it. Oh, you go first.
Competition sucks. Plain and simple. Especially when a home has been sitting on the market for 2 months and suddenly they get multiple offers. That just annoys the fuck out of me.
So annoying. Just happened.
Yeah. So, okay. If you're losing competition, it's because of a handful of things. One, someone beat you in price, or someone beat you in conditions, or someone wrote a letter. Price would be first. Are you writing the best offer that you can? Knowing that you're going against 1 offer, 2 offer, 3 offer, 4. If you're not, and you're just not comfortable going to those numbers, my advice would be to drop the price of what you're looking for. So if you're pre-approved for 400, but you don't want to spend over 375, look at homes for 340, 350. So that way, when you find 1, 2, 3 offers, you can go to 375, 380, and you're not using your max budget. If your budget's 400, looking at 400, hard to win.
You don't have any room.
Well, the other lever is conditions. Can make your conditions really tight and narrow? So instead of doing a septic and well over 2 weeks for home inspections, maybe get them done in 7 days, but really crank out the water testing so that you can make sure you get the results back. Or one thing we've used in the past, but that's in the craziest times of the market, we use a non-refundable deposit. meaning, here's $5,000 non-refundable. So if we fuck up our financing, our conditions, you keep $5,000. We never actually used it in a sense, but we always talked about it as a way to do it. And I was pretty confident that if we wrote a good offer, we would be accepted offer on that condition. One thing we've used is letters, which you used recently to success.
Yeah, a couple months ago now, actually. We were not the highest offer, but we had a great letter. It's for like a young couple. It was their first home. It's where they would be having kids. There were teachers in our community, coaches in our community. The couple that was selling the house was retired and moving to a condo, and they raised their family in that house. And so sharing that, their community members, they're going to be parents, like things like that it was kind of an emotional tug to kind of convince them. And we did win, and we were not the highest offer from what the other agent told, but they
I don't even think
liked.
it was the second highest.
I don't think I did. She didn't clarify. But she was like, they really liked the letter. They really liked what was said. And that was honestly such a lovely transaction. Those sellers were so sweet. They literally reached out multiple times to be like, hey, like, we're moving into a condo. We've got a ton of furniture in this house. Like, do they want any of it? We're not going to charge them for it. We paid for like their lawn tractor and stuff, but like they left furniture that my clients just didn't have because they were moving from a tiny, tiny, tiny apartment into a 2,200 square foot house. And so the letter made a really big impact.
Letters don't always work.
No, they do not. I was very surprised.
But sometimes I would say 1 in 4, 1 in 5 letters work. For letters, one thing we typically do is we do the big write-up of who these buyers are, what their intentions are with the house, and we usually try to include a family photo, which goes a long way. And if there's a puppy or a child or a cat or a pet in that family, we try and get them included in that family photo. I've gone so far as using actual video letters where I've had the clients record a personal video and submit that with the offer. This is back in the crazy times.
Yeah.
Where you're doing everything you could to try and sway a seller's decision. And the video messages have worked where it created it landed well with the sellers and it resonated and it worked. So, if you don't have the budget, conditions, give the seller their closing date, try and map out the conditions, make it as easy as possible. Sometimes we did a very common clause that we did at the height of COVID was the home inspection is a learning inspection, meaning we are not going to negotiate anything we find in the home inspection, but we withhold the right to terminate if something detrimental is like the foundation's falling in on itself. That was a really popular clause in that time. And then the letter, of course. Me. I need to get my home on the market in a month's time. What's the best thing I can do to get ready for market?
Clutter. Throw out all your stuff.
I would say, okay, it depends what the goal is. If you're just slapping up on the market, yes, declutter. Get a stager consult in there to tell you what to declutter, what needs to be put away, and how to arrange the furniture. I would say you're rushing it, but sometimes you have to rush it. The average seller in our experience takes 2 to 3 months to get a home ready for market if we're going for like the highest dollar value. And we always say that the more time you give us to do work for you, the better we are at our job. So the less time that we have, if this is a month, I would need to know, I'd want to know why we're rushing it. And if we could not rush it, like how can we help you get the highest dollar value? But if you need it on the market, clean it, paint it, declutter it, stage it, photos. That should be, you'll be working nights and weekends for a month trying to rush through this, but you can get it done and it will help you tremendously get your home on the market. And as long as you price it right, you should be fine on your sale.
I think I only have one more after this one.
I got one more.
What's one common mistake you see people make when buying a home?
Me or you?
You go first. I got to think on this one. This one's tricky for me.
Okay. One common mistake I see, and it was pretty common during COVID, is people getting caught up in the emotion of it all. they've lost 4 or 5 houses, and then they've gone to really top of their budget to just get in the market.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a mistake if it's the right house. And I always say this, like for first-time home buyers particularly, like it's okay for them to go top of their budget because they're usually at the start of their career and they're going to get a few more pay rises or increases throughout the span of their career. So like there will be more money coming in eventually. Retirees, do not go top of your budget. You're retired, you're on a fixed income. Do not. The other common mistake I see with home buyers is thinking that they can do more work than they realistically want to do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people buy homes that, I can do a kitchen, I can do a bathroom, I can do paint, I can do flooring, I can do all this stuff. I have YouTube, I have resources, I can swing a hammer. And then we visit the house in a year's time and nothing's been done. That would be my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I would say like one common mistake you see people make when buying a home would be choosing a hill to die on. Let me elaborate. So like everyone makes their list of things that they're like, oh, I really want this. This would be amazing. And maybe
The
one of
ensuite,
things,
the garage.
yeah, like an ensuite, or like I want a fenced yard. And they could see a property that has everything else, but they're like, but it doesn't have a fenced yard.
Right.
Like, I'm not talking about things you can't change or add yourself. Those are like, absolutely, if you cannot change, you can't change the layout. You can't change the layout. You can't change the layout.
However, you can change the layout, but it's just a hell of a lot of money.
Well, yeah, it's a hell of a lot more work.
Yeah.
But like choosing a hill to die on based on your wish list after seeing properties that would be great otherwise, that's when I start to be like, I don't know how to help you if you don't budge. Because that would be my biggest thing that I see. Yes, of course, like people maxing out their pre-approval. Pre-approval does not mean you have to use your whole pre-approval. In fact, we would prefer that you don't. We don't want you to be house poor. But yeah, choosing a hill to die on and staking a claim. Yeah, that would be
right. Because we also see that all the time where like someone's like, I really want to be on water in Halifax. And you're like, water in Halifax and your budget is this, but water in Halifax is this.
Yeah, and then they're like, I'd also like a brand new kitchen and beautiful bathrooms and 2,000 square feet.
And the budget is $650.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like realistic expectations.
Yes.
Right? Because if you're going to try and make that move, like you have to be realistic as to how far your money can go in the market that you're desired in. If you really want to be in Southern Halifax, but your budget is $500,000-$600,000, there might be one that comes up once a year at that price in Southern Halifax. You just have to be okay with whatever the state it's in.
Yeah.
And that is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? If you need to be in that specific market and that's the hill you're going to die on, great. There's your budget. That's a shithole. Have fun. But that's your call. That's a good one. People do die on hills too often for houses.
Yeah.
Especially now when we have options. Inventory. We have
We do have inventory, which is really nice for people. I just had clients that they chose a hill to die on, and I've been all over Nova Scotia.
Showed a lot of homes.
I did show a lot of homes, but I loved them. They were wonderful clients. So I won't complain. We found them a house that they love.
Took a while.
It took a while.
And also, you found more than that, though. They lost in competition.
They did lose in competition. Yeah.
You found multiple houses, but they also weren't willing to go the extra dollar.
They did come around. They were coming from a different market as well. So like coming to our market here was a big shift and a big change for them to kind of wrap their head around. And they had to lose times in order to figure it out.
There is an education.
Yeah.
You have to educate people. The market has to let people know that.
I can say it as much as I want, but some people like myself are experiential learners. So.
All right. Last one. Why are so many homes in Halifax not selling?
They're overpriced.
I'll flip it. Why are so many homes in Kings County not selling?
Overpriced.
That's it?
I mean, Kings County has more. Kings County's huge. Like, that's another thing. So
HOM is huge.
one of the things that we now do when we are looking at properties is, so like NSAR, MLS system, they release statistics for every month. And it's like an over average based on like the entire county, the entire region. Those regions are huge. You can no longer paint Nova Scotia with one brush. You can't paint one county with one brush. So like I'm pricing homes down in Digby that are in the Annapolis County. And I'm also pricing homes in like the Greenwood area. And they are completely different markets. Like Digby area, Granville, that is like a heavy, heavy buyer's market. They have like 13 months of inventory. Like I think you need to take that into account as well. You know, each like region, you can't go by region anymore. You have to go by neighborhood. Even if you go to like Kentville, you can't look at Kentville the same as North Kentville.
Right.
You know, like Halifax, you can't look at South End the same as you look at North End.
North End is like 0 months of inventory.
I bet it is.
There's no houses in North End. But South End has 100.
Yeah.
If you include condos and single families. But same thing is like you can't include like if you're shopping in Dartmouth, like you can't compare Peninsula Halifax to Dartmouth, which some people do.
Exactly. Like you have to look at the smaller area and like the actual, what is actually local.
Right. Right. And then it's pricing. It's going to be pricing. And it's that same thing we've talked about a few times on this podcast today, where it's like people are still stuck in the mindset of it's easy to sell today. Mm-hmm. And it is easy to sell, but it's not as easy as it was. There's no, like buyers they are a lot more fickle because they can be. They're very aware of their dollar since inflation. And they're looking at the condition of your house compared to others because now they can actually go, oh, well, I saw this house and I like this house, but this one around the corner is $50,000 less and it needs the same amount of work. So like I'll give up, this feature, maybe it's an ensuite, for this over here because my mortgage payment is going to be down $250.
Absolutely.
Like that, yeah.
I would say buyers are much more savvy as well with like the market. Everybody's on Viewpoint. Everybody is on realtor.ca. Everyone's on Facebook. Like buyers are aware of what the market looks like. And sellers are still struggling to get out of the COVID mindset where it's like they buy what I give them.
The other thing is you can talk to multiple realtors. Mm-hmm. And we have found this in the last year where people will say different things. It's not the same consistent message. We might price a house at this, and this has happened. Mm-hmm. We'll price a house at X, and then we'll have another realtor say they can sell it for $60,000 more for half the commission. And the seller will look at it as like, well, how come I like your package more? I like what you guys do more, but how come you're $60,000 less? And we're like, well, here's your comparables. Where do they get theirs? Right? Or we'll see something like, it's that stuff where you get the mixed messaging of like one realtor says A, one realtor says Z, and someone comes in with B. And, it may be sellers have that option of shopping around because they're paying the commission. So they get to choose the realtor they work with. Yep. But also like they can shop around until they find the realtor who will give them the price that they want because they think it's worth that.
That is a thing that is currently happening, I'm finding. And I think that's another reason everything's sitting is like realtors aren't being they're not, I don't want to say not being honest. They're being very optimistic instead of realistic.
I would say this, it's an actual strategy in our industry to take a listing, put it on the market, and let the market teach the seller and put them into a 6-month to year-long contract and just ride out that contract and bring down the price and bring down the price and bring down the price and bring down the price. Just tell your sellers, oh, well, we tried, but the market's just not giving you anything.
Yeah. Well, and that's a key thing as well. Like, if I'm okay, I don't mind that strategy as long as the agent has said, we will try, but this is what's realistic. And I think a lot of them aren't doing that. They're not having that conversation.
setting realistic expectations.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's where you're seeing a lot of disconnect is like you look at some photos on MLS and you're like, why isn't this place cleaned?
Mm-hmm.
A staging.
I literally told clients, I was like, I don't know if you really want to see this house because the photos, like even the bathroom vanity was still covered with like hairbrushes and towels and they're just like clutter. Like they hadn't done the work to sell it.
And asking for a premium price, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right. So like those things come to effect, right? So like why are there so many homes for sale? Also, less buyers. There are just less people trying to buy homes. Maybe because here's a fun stat: 60% of the mortgages in Canada are renewing in the last since 2025, and they're going to finish in 2027. So that's 60%. Population of 40 million. That means 22 million are remortgaging.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, how many out of the 18 million left? Like, how many can afford to buy a house? And how many want to buy a house? Right. So like there is a less buyer pool to choose from, and more people are selling because this is common too. One thing in COVID was like, we're not selling because we have nowhere to go. We're happy in our home. We don't want to get in the rat race of bidding wars and trying to get into these houses, yada, yada, yada. Well, now because sellers are like, oh, I can go somewhere, I'm going to sell my house.
Yeah.
Well, great. But now you're one of 4 in your neighborhood. So now we have to be very good on price, have to be very good on condition. We have to know our market. And that would be, I would say, a lot of information goes unmissed. Is one thing, and you touched on this, is understanding your market. You have to understand your market and what your market. And I'm not talking about Kings County like you said. We're not talking about HRM. We're talking about like, are you selling in South End homes? Okay, great. What homes have sold in South End in the last 90 days? What have they sold for? If you're selling in Greenwood, what homes in Greenwood have sold in the last 90 days? What are they selling for? Wherever you are, it's easy to go draw up the map and say, okay, here are my comparables. This is where we're at price-wise. Okay. Because I say there are fewer buyers, but they're still motivated, they're still engaged, they're still looking at houses. There's just not as many of them. So instead of getting 20 viewings, you're getting 5. But you have to make sure in the 5, you're getting an offer. That's why homes are sitting.
Agreed.
Anything else before we get out of here? Last piece of advice?
I still have one question.
You have a question?
I have a question.
Okay. I thought that was our last one. That's why I rambled.
No. My tenant wants to buy my investment property. What's the best way to ensure a smooth sale? I mean, selfishly, I would like to say a realtor. But
Easy.
That's tricky. I would get a realtor in to price, just to give you like a CMA and be very clear. We've done this. Like we have someone who is interested in buying. We want to make sure that we're getting the market value for it. And then making sure that your tenant is actually able to buy the property. Like they need to have a pre-approval. And then it's really just lawyers.
Yep. To do a smooth transaction, call us. We'll do a market analysis for you.
Yep.
No problem. Give you an idea of what we think we could sell for on the market. We can even pass along the standard agreement purchase and sale, which is how you buy and sell houses rather than getting a lawyer to draw it up. The big thing would be making sure that your buyer's pre-approved. And pre-approved, like make them go to a broker.
Yeah. And like give you a letter of pre-approval.
Yeah.
Any bank, any broker can give you a letter of pre-approval. And that'll give you an idea of can they actually do this.
And then make sure that like the price that you're asking for, like make sure like get proof of funds. Make sure they have the down payment. Make sure they have the closing costs. Right? That's all in the pre-approval, but just make sure they can actually transact on this house before you go down that road, and be prepared for it to not go well. And what I mean by that is like them not being able to buy it. Don't put all your eggs in that basket.
Yeah, like I've seen it work and I've also seen it not work. I would say there's probably like a 25-75. It doesn't work. 25% work. That's just a number based on like experience. I don't know the statistics on it, but like based on
what we've seen, who we've talked to.
Yeah. Most of the tenants or like a neighbor wants to buy my house privately. Everybody says, oh, it's worth this much. And then when they find out what it's actually worth, it's not worth it anymore for them. or they don't have the money to back it up.
Yep.
So
Yep.
always worth a shot.
Fun fact, you are the 100th episode on the podcast.
Aw. Time special.
100th episode mailbag.
It's a good episode in my opinion, but
yeah. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
I will, I'm sure I'll see you home later. Love you.
Love you too.